Welcome to On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I am Danielle Marie, Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people. Today we will be talking to Bria Lace as part of our series on Nak Muay Ying. I am Danielle Marie. I am a Muay Thai fighter from the United States of America. I've been living in Thailand for 4 years. I've mostly trained out of Luc Da Pha Muay Thai in Bangkok. I have fought around 20 fights in Thailand and neighboring countries. I've fought in China 2 times, in Timor-Leste, and actually that might be it. I got into Muay Thai for fitness when I was living in Seattle, Washington, and Muay Thai seemed like a more interesting way to exercise than just going to the gym. But after a few classes, I found that I really liked Muay Thai and wanted to explore what it might be like to compete. And eventually that brought me to Thailand, where I've been living for the last 4 years. I like Muay Thai because it's a very interesting blend of martial arts and kind of like extreme masculinity, but also a softness that you don't see in many other fighting sports that I'm aware of. And also the cultural aspect of Thailand was just really fascinating to me when I started, which is kind of why I came to Thailand. Because of Muay Thai, my life has gone a completely different direction. Once I decided to pursue competing in Thailand, I dropped out of college, sold all my stuff, and came to live and fight full time. And even though there was never really much of a plan for me, my path has just kind of gone off from there, all because of Muay Thai. You can find me on Instagram at Dimensional Elms or on Facebook, Danielle Marie. And now for my conversation with Bria. Hello.
Hi Danielle, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. I just started my day. I'm now living in Bordeaux, France. I've been here for around about 10 years now. So, yeah, just starting my day just before noon here. And it's about 5 o'clock your time.
That's right. It is 5:13 p.m. here in Bangkok. Um, yeah. So you've been in Bordeaux for 10 years now, is that right?
Yeah, I've been here for 10 years, the last 10 years, and that's actually just where I ended up, you know, uh, having my family and kind of planting my roots, if you will, here now with my little family. But before that, I definitely traveled around a lot, including Bangkok for a few years there, which was just before I actually came here.
Cool. How long did you stay in Bangkok?
I was in Bangkok for just over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. How long have you been living there for now?
I've been here for 4 years now.
Wow. Yeah, like living the dream, obviously.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? Yeah, honest, I have to say that was probably like a huge part of my dream at one point 10 years ago, let's say. And I would have never left. I'll tell you that. I would have never left. I absolutely loved it there. It's the best experience of my life. And I didn't feel ready to leave. And I even still feel like that now. I feel I could go back at any moment. Such a wonderful place to be. Most definitely. Lucky you.
Yeah. What gym did you train at when you were in Thailand?
In Thailand, I trained at the Kai Pin Chai. So it's in Lad Prao, which is a really fun residential Thai neighborhood. It's kind of tucked away in Bangkok. Or do you know where Lad Prao? You must be familiar.
Yeah, actually, I live really close to Lad Pao Road. Yeah, but I've never been to that gym before.
Right. Yeah, it's really tucked away, I have to say. And yeah, it's just right in there in that little neighborhood, in a little residential neighborhood. Everybody kind of knows everybody. It was a really great experience. I was there pretty well the for the entirety basically of my time
Oh,
there.
cool.
Yeah, how about you?
Well, I spent most of my time at Lukapa
Right,
Muay Thai gym, which is in uh, like Pawet is the name of the area.
right.
Um, these days, I train at a gym called Nupontep, which is in Samut Prakan, which is one of the areas that's in the middle of the COVID outbreak right now. So I haven't been training.
Wow. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, a lot of many of us, I think, have, and I mean, that's something too. Even here in France, that we're dealing with. I mean, nobody's really been doing any training for around excuse me, 10 at least 10 months. Though at least the last 10 months. I mean, there's been a few on and off periods, very briefly, I would have to say, but it's been, we're getting on to about a year almost here. It's been pretty hard over here in this part of the world in terms of that and all of the regulations and everything surrounding that. So that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy for anyone right now.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Everybody's taking obviously taking a toll, but I would definitely say contact sports or martial arts for sure. That's that's obviously not easy.
Well, let's talk, I guess, a little bit. This it's so sad to talk about COVID. So, about
I couldn't agree
yeah,
more.
your experience with fighting in Thailand.
Right. Yeah. Well, so my experience with fighting in Thailand, it ties right back around to my gym. Um, my gym, Kaimway Pinsanchai, it's ran by General Sawek Pinsanchai. He also owns Asawindam Stadium in Bangkok, also known as the Black Knight Stadium. He was, at the time that I was fighting, was way more known for promoting female fighting, and he dedicated shows, Sundays and weekends, and it purely to female fighters at times, which was quite rare, even at that time, 10 years ago. Even then, especially in Bangkok, let's say. So with that platform, I was able to get going and get started and get some experience and I guess a little bit of attention with Muay Thai, whereas I think a lot of women really grind really hard. Like some of the women who were fighting in there, they really had to fight really hard just to get there. And I kind of almost walked into that, luckily. So that was a little interesting, maybe a little bit different from some other women's experiences too, possibly.
Yeah, it's funny. That reminds me a little bit of like one of the reasons I was able to get a lot of experience at first at my gym was similar. My the owner of my gym, Chinawat Siri Sampan, I always say his name wrong. He also
Yeah,
promoted fights. Um,
right.
so they just put me on fight cards. So yeah, I think it was definitely a big advantage for getting more experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all if you have those connections for it's always been like that. That's how it is, and with that being said, though, I have to say, um, I was definitely the only at that time the only female fighter who was in that gym ever, 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 in the actual gym. He was doing business with, and on his TV platform, and he was making and promoting female fighting at that time. But they definitely didn't have any, girls just kind of hanging around the gym. Let's just say. And so that experience as well was definitely interesting. I mean, it took a lot of time and patience and I think for everyone, that was definitely something new for everybody there. So it wasn't either just like walking into this like perfectly laid out situation either, which he was promoting fights, and so I was able to fight on a nicely sized platform, which was really fun, and that was a really great experience, and it was really fun fighting for Asu and promotion. but the daily grind of the gym and training was definitely something else. It was not. Oh, it was maybe the opposite of what that would have been, which was it took a lot. It took a lot of time, a lot of patience to be accepted. They were nobody there was used to having a girl around. It took time. It definitely took time, and they weren't used to having that. And I don't know about your experience with that, but where I came from in my gym, it was definitely a very new experience and for everyone involved, and it was really good though. It was good.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time, I didn't push or anything, but I definitely had to work really hard to um have a place in that gym. That's for sure. Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's still maybe the case in some gyms that aren't really used to females, like foreigner or Thai.
Right, either or.
But I was lucky in my gym. There had been,
Were there many females? And oh, there had been some already.
yeah, the owner's
Wonderful.
daughter was a fighter.
Oh, wow.
So, but that being said, during my time training, I was usually the only female fighter in the gym at any given day, with some exceptions. But
Oh, for sure. Oh, even in France, where it's like very different in the sense that it's like, like maybe an after school activity, or like more so of a sport and something just like really fun and interesting to do, where it's maybe like that as well in Canada, where I'm from. Still in the gyms, you can still be the only girl, right? Like even in France, there's a few girls, and there's a few. Even then, even though there's a lot, but the girls who are there every day training, there's not still as many. Can definitely be singled out as a female in the sport for sure.
yeah, yeah, it's rough, but it's changing, right? So that's
Oh, indeed, it surely is, and that's exactly it. I find it so different now, and just getting better all the time. And from places like where you're from with your gym, there are a lot of young or female fighters who have been trained by their fathers in Thailand, who have always been very open and very accepting to Muay Ying and females in the gym, who and that's completely transformed everything. And then the stadiums like Down, for example, who are really open their platform. Again, we're one of the only at that time who were doing so and promoting female fighting in Thailand, and that has definitely helped. Now there's so many more now, and it's just great to see. It's so great to see.
yeah. So is there a fight of yours that you remember that like stands out in your memory?
Hmm. A fight of mine that stands out in my memory.
Yeah, like a favorite or most eventful, weirdest fight?
Most eventful, weirdest fight. Oh, I had a few maybe interesting things. A couple rematches, which I thought you won the first one, and they got one, and the next one you somehow win, and they just few random things like that. Really fun flash knockout. That was probably one of my funnest memories. I fought in Laos, which was really, really, really fun. On Laos Star with my original coach from Canada, who's Lao, and that was a really great experience for me. I definitely remember that. That was really fun. Fighting in the stadium in Bangkok, I pretty well generally I always fought at the Down Stadium, so that was a fun experience. Yeah, it was really good. And then I do have to say, I feel like it was a little cut short, to a certain extent, by me leaving Thailand only about 2 years or so into my quest there. I ended up leaving, and I had children and moved and kind of went on another path from there out. So things had changed since then.
Yeah, definitely. Life changes. Something, yeah, you mentioned children. I actually have a kid. That
Right. Yes.
yeah. So like How has having children changed, like your how you feel about Muay Thai? Has it or
Well, it has changed like the way I feel about Muay Thai. Like in one way, in that children in Muay Thai are so much in Thailand. They're so game for that, and like it's very different in a lot of other places, and just the fact that it's such a like a children's sport and game. It's a job as well in Thailand. It's very very different. I have thought about that quite a bit since becoming a mother myself. We have a lot of kids too at our gym. It's very different, like the way that children are here, the way that they are there.
yeah, that's definitely true. Um, yeah. So how old are your kids?
My kids now are 9, 7, and 5 years old.
Wow, cool.
And yeah, and we're all still involved in the sport. We've all remained involved in the sport. Their father is involved in the sport. He has been his entire life, at which that has kept me involved in the sport, I believe. Um, had it not been for his involvement, and to quite a high extent, it was like that's all he ever does. I'll have to say, obviously, and then that's just how the guy is, and we've always just kind of been doing that. We've been actually running our own gym for 9 years now. So yeah, yeah, and now we coach, we teach Muay Thai and Kung Khmer, and I even actually do baby gym now that I'm a mom there. So that's also really, it's a really interesting little place. We have a little bit of everything we love there. That's what we do every day. That's what we love, and it's been a just amazing experience as well, being able to continue um, with your passion and what you love to do. Even after you've stopped and moved on from competitive sport, at least, which my husband and I have both now done. I think, I don't know about you, but it's always, I don't know, because you fought after you had a child, right?
Yeah, I actually just did at the end of last year. Uh,
Right. Oh, funny. Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting. That's amazing because I fought one time since I became a mother, since I had kids, and it was just over a year ago, too. And yeah, so but I was on like a 9 year hiatus, and then
oh wow,
there was this little, it was like a little tournament in France, and I thought to myself, gee, well, in that weight category, I thought I could have a pretty okay chance of winning it. I thought maybe it would be fun. I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna try, and so I went off and tried, and ended up having one fight in the tournament, and then actually, unfortunately, because of I'm actually not French. I am Canadian, anyways. I have been living here for a while, but then they were like, oh no, you can't continue in the tournament because it was a French champion tournament, and so I ended up not being able to continue. But I did have one fight in the tournament, and boy, it was really hard. How about you? How were you finding fighting after having kids, having a child?
yeah. Well, I had it had been like a 2.5 year break for me, so not quite as long as 9 years.
Wow.
But yeah, I found that fighting is not like riding a bike for me. I didn't just jump back into it. I like it felt like my first fight.
Right.
Except the adrenaline wasn't as high as my first fight. So like a first fight but feeling the pain.
Right. Right.
But it was a very Thai experience. Like you said you fought mostly in the stadium in Bangkok. So maybe I don't know if you've had this experience of like fighting in the countryside in Thailand. But it's like
Yes, I have.
okay, so I don't know. Maybe did you feel confused a lot of the time in the country?
Well, to be fair, I felt confused probably a good deal of the time I was really there. Just, the language barrier and what have you. I still feel like that. Like I'm living in France, I'm just living, even though I've been here a while, I mean, it's still tricky to just catch on to the language in full. I've become a mom now 3 times as well, right? So now I have 3 kids, and you're kind of doing that, and it's not easy. So I definitely can relate to feeling a little bit lost in a strange place, that's for sure. And that's the fun and joy too in traveling, and it's part of the experience. I love it, but for sure, fighting in Isan is definitely a totally different experience than fighting uh, in Bangkok, I think. Very, very different.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's intense.
it is. Well, and it's sort of like time doesn't exist. So like, it starts at 8 p.m., but really starts at, 2 in the morning or something like that.
Right. Yeah, time. I totally get you on that for sure. Yeah, and so when you got back into it, it was not just like riding a bike. It was a little trickier than that. Then, do you mean in terms of the training or like just the fighting? You mean?
So the fighting, like training is training to me. It's
Yeah.
it's you you have to do it. Um, it's up to you only. There's no opponent. There's no like you might have a coach pushing you in training, but it's just like a grind. And yeah, so obviously I think
Yeah,
training after
definitely.
having kids is more difficult because you have to take care of your kids. At least I found. Like my daughter comes with me to the gym, and so like when I
True.
do sit ups, sometimes she like bounces on my stomach, which might be extra conditioning, but is also distracting.
Wow.
Whatever. But the fighting itself is the part that was like, oh, that's right, someone's punching me now. I guess I forgot maybe how to deal with that.
Right. So it was a good experience, nonetheless.
It was a good experience. My opponent was really good and cool. I liked her a lot.
And yeah. And how did you do in that fight?
Oh, I lost.
Did you lose? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. How many rounds was the fight?
The part of the twilight zone of Isan was that it was 5 round fight until the fight started, and then
Ah, in Isan,
right,
5 rounds.
like
Okay.
after the first round, the referee was like,
So,
"This is a 3 round fight, so you
right.
need to be more active." And I was like, "I
Oh.
thought it was 5 rounds."
Oh.
Um, the fight ended at 3 rounds.
Mm, mm, mm.
We were both
Yeah, yeah.
confused, so
Oh, I see. I hear you now. I hear you. I feel you. Yeah, for sure. Oh, too bad for you for that. I hate that for you. I can totally relate to feeling lost and like too like with the tournament situation in France. I mean, yeah, I feel like I didn't know, and then yeah, I ended up not being able to continue in the tournament with some paperwork. I'm not French. Okay, well, which is weird because a lot of other non like quote unquote non French people are in that tournament and have won
right,
it, even people that I
yeah,
know. So I don't know.
like a nationality to be whatever. I don't know how it works. It's all politics at that level.
I couldn't agree more. And so for your partner, is he also involved in the sport as well?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we met through Muay Thai. He,
Wow.
I guess, was a fighter. He talks
Right.
about fighting again, but I don't
Won't
know
we
the
always?
chances of that happening. But yeah, he's Thai and fought most of his life. Most of his life, he's been a fighter. So it's very, yeah, our family is also completely Muay Thai.
Right. Yeah. So when did he start like training and fighting?
Oh, his first fight was like 10 years old. Yeah, I don't know. With so many Thai people, especially in the countryside, it's just, you start when you're a baby, and it's just part of who who you are, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is just life, really, you know. And then I sometimes think that like now, like just running a gym in France, and that's kind of like a lifestyle. Like we chose that as a lifestyle. Like it's not a job though, you know what I mean? It's just like a lifestyle where it's 24/7. It's always, you know, it's just like when you're running the gym, it's a big project, that's for sure. But it's not like Thailand, it's just life there, you know. And then maybe in some other places it's just like there, I think there can be different levels of it. It is definitely very very in the culture and just the everyday life in Thailand, so much so. And that experience is definitely very unique. I think experiencing Muay Thai as a sport in any other country, like even in France, for example, which is very, very into the sport itself. They have a really great program for it, and some other places in the UK and whatnot. But there's nothing like that life that you live do in Thailand. Nothing like it.
yeah. So I'm curious more about your gym. Why did you decide to open a gym?
Well, I didn't decide to open a gym. That was I have to give credit to my husband for that. Um, he was fighting very, very. He was fighting a lot at the time and training a lot at the time, and I guess he was just kind of thinking of a transition. Yeah, we were going to be having a baby. He was thinking that he was going to be retiring at some point, which he ended up doing, I think, around about 3 to 4 years after we started our family, and Jim at the same time. So we were going to be having a baby, and he was thinking, well, he might want to open a gym. I don't know why. And I actually, at the time, I told him not to. I asked him not to. I wasn't thinking it was the best idea at that time. I think I was just really thinking about just focusing on becoming a mom for the first time, I guess. And he was like, no, it's not. He got us this little apartment. It was on top of like, this like little warehouse that we transformed into this like little Muay Thai gym. It was small. The apartment was right on top. And he just started like that. And, at the same time, that was kind of going on. He was still training at this other gym, and slowly made the transition to just coaching and train. He was still training though at that time. He was training and sort of coaching, I think, at that time. And so we always had this little gym, and then one thing kind of went from one thing to another, and the gym just started developing, and it got bigger. We moved spaces, and uh, kind of started with that, and then he ended up retiring and just coaching basically full time at the gym, and then we had kids were growing up at the time, and I started looking for things for them to do, and there just wasn't really anything to do, and I come from a competitive gymnastics background. And I thought, and I had been also a gymnastics coach, I mean, for years, for really my whole life. I grew up in the gym, really, I did. First with gymnastics and then later with Muay Thai. And which actually, with my background in gymnastics, it definitely really helped my transition into Muay Thai and the training, because I was really used to training hard, 2 times a day in gymnastics. I mean, you're just there all day. It's the workouts and sessions are very long and dragged out. I guess if you want to, you're just at the gym constantly. You're there, 4 hours after school, sometimes almost every day. And I was kind of used to that, just very regular, long, strenuous training regimen, which I definitely think helped, because at the end of it, I wasn't really involved in Muay Thai, like unlike in Thailand. I wasn't doing Muay Thai since I was a child or anything like that. I actually probably got a very late start into the sport, actually, and well, competitively at least, about 4 to 6, about 5 years only. So it's not like a very, very long career. But so had it not have been for my experience in gymnastics and just the training as well, I don't, I was very thankful for that. I have to say. I come from a competitive gymnastics background, and so now I have implemented that into my gym, and I actually teach gymnastics for kids basically in my Muay Thai gym here in Bordeaux, which is it's pretty fun. And actually, I do ninja classes there now as well. And because it's France and they speak French, I do the classes in English. So it's pretty fun. I do really love that part of my life. I get to be myself, which is because I'm still a foreigner too, like living in a foreign country. I feel like that. I don't know. I don't. I haven't been living home where I'm from in Vancouver Island, Canada. I haven't been living there for almost 12 years now, over 12, almost 15 years probably roundabout now. So it's been a while. So yeah, I teach the classes in English. I get to be myself. I teach Muay Thai classes alongside my husband and at our family gym. Our kids are involved. We're always there. We're always involved doing gym, doing ninja now. You know, it's really, my kids are really into that. They absolutely love it. And certainly more predominantly doing Muay Thai. We specifically do Muay Thai. We don't do any other um, martial arts or any other sport, anything else there. We just focus on Muay Thai, and I believe we are the only gym like in this area in Bordeaux actually who are specifically predominantly a Muay Thai gym, which we really wanted to be, and we're very proud of that.
So, how did you come to Muay Thai in the first place?
Well, how I came to Muay Thai, if I have to be 100% honest, is my brother had traveled a lot in his, you know, when he was in his early 20s. And like I said, I was a gymnast, and had seen this film, and it was on back in the movie theater during his trip in Thailand. And he told me about it, and he's like, "You have to see this." Like, you know, I'm always stunting around, and I have to say too, like my father comes from a martial arts background as well, and so my father actually was a Hapkido instructor when I was growing up. I was not involved in the sport. You know, I definitely had like a martial arts background anyways. Like my brother did kickboxing and stuff anyways. He said, you really have to see this movie. You're going to love it. So I did. And immediately I was like, I need to try this. And just, I sought out a Muay Thai gym in my, you know, where I was from, which I was living in Vancouver, British Columbia at the time in Canada. And I happened upon the most amazing Muay Thai trainer, one of the most amazing Muay Thai trainers, somebody who absolutely changed my life forever, changed my life there. And I started out that way. But I originally, it was the film that I saw, and I thought it was just so amazing. I'm like, I could, that's me. That could be me. And because the Tony Jaa, who actually is in that film, he is a national Thai champion gymnast.
Oh, I didn't realize he was a gymnast.
He's a good gymnast. Yeah, and he also has studied capoeira and has been a national champion in that as well, and several other martial arts. But he was definitely a gymnast, and you can definitely see in his stunts. He's really amazing.
Yeah, no kidding. It's funny. I hear like kind of a lot of fighters from the West were inspired by that movie and Tony. Yeah, um, that's
Really?
it's cool.
Wow. Well, where are you from?
I'm from the United States.
Right.
Yeah, my family's from Michigan.
Wow, Michigander.
Yeah, still neighbors with Canada. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah, wow. And so you've been in Thailand for the last 5 years, and how
yeah.
old's your child now?
She is 1 year, 9 months.
Wow, a year and 9 months. And do you foresee yourself continuing to fight then? Like after becoming a mom, fighting for the first time, and like you're still training every day or
Yeah, ideally.
well, I mean not now.
Now, no. Um, yeah, no, my plan for now, like, I'm kind of getting old for the sport, but, like, to be honest, when I found out I was pregnant, I wasn't really ready to stop Muay Thai yet. Um,
Right.
so even though it's not the same situation now, I still intend to try being competitive for a little while if I can, as long as I can.
Right, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the stakes
but
have changed though
uh,
too, after having a baby, you know. Um,
oh, for sure.
I just basically, after having a baby, retired right away, whereas my husband kind of kept fighting and kept going. But the stakes change, too. So it's a lot to think and consider.
Yeah. Did your kids watch you in the tournament fight that you had?
Actually, they didn't come, and I took the fight on very, very short notice, and it was actually the first time that I ever had. I also did a little weight cut, which I haven't cut a lot of weight just because I'm really, really small. Like I walk around at 50 kilos. Like I'm a little small gymnast, and um, and even in Thailand, I mean, I was fighting around 48 kilos. I often would just take fights at 49, 50, and I would just be kind of like, I didn't really cut a lot of weight. I mean, there were some fights where would do like, I don't know if it was like a cut, because I would know it would be under 48 kilos and I would have time and it wasn't such a big deal. I never fought under that because when I was in really good shape, I could even just be 48 kilos. Sometimes I could easily get there. Let's just say, and I always wondered if I went to like 46 or something. What would I have been? But no, I was even fighting people 50 kilos or 51 or something like that even at times. And this time I had to cut. I think I was like 50 over that or whichever, and the fight was under 48, and I only had about 48 hours notice. And by the time I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, I mean, I just didn't have enough time to like prepare how I wanted, to go. And we had to drive pretty far and the kids and everything. And so I was lucky enough to ask a friend to come by, and it was just like a day trip. We went super early in the morning and came back at night. But yeah, a really nice friend of mine came by and hung out with the kids while it was just the first preliminary fight of the tournament though. But yeah, they didn't see me. They weren't there, and I actually I made that decision too. I did ponder back and forth whether I really wanted them to come, thinking maybe it would have been the only time they would have ever maybe seen. I mean, I or not. I wasn't sure how I would have felt either. Ultimately, I decided to just, it was pretty rushed, like I said too. So I just ultimately I thought I was lucky enough to just maybe had the opportunity to have this match kind of. Uh, I think I felt like it was maybe the right time for a match. Like I said, it was a long time after. I had three kids later, and having kids, I actually even had three C-sections, and I actually had quite a lot of like physical complications as well, surrounding pregnancies and becoming a mom three different times, three different C-sections, really hard on me. Just a lot of stuff with that, and for some reason I felt like, oh yeah, maybe this is a good time, um, and I just wanted to try it. But yeah, my kids were not there. How about you?
Well, my daughter was there.
Right, yeah.
And I was a little nervous, honestly. I didn't know how she would react if she saw me fighting someone. Because, like,
Right, right.
she's little. Sometimes if
Oh
I'm
yeah.
fighting someone, she starts to kind of be upset. So, but it ended up not being really an issue because I didn't fight until like 2 o'clock in the morning. So she was sleeping on a mat
Right. Oh.
to the ring.
Nice, nice. Oh, that's good. Right. Well, like then just thinking about that too, like, well, my kids definitely watched my husband fight several times. They were little at the time, they were pretty young, but they definitely were
Yeah,
involved in that, in the gym, the train. I think too, like you said, your daughters and your husband's involved, and your daughters around the sport, like, if they're around the sport in the gym, it might be a different for some of those kids who are watching their parents in the ring than maybe some other kids, some other moms. Like if you just kind of leave and you just go training and then suddenly, mom's in the ring, like it might be a bizarre experience for a kid. I mean, let's face it, for sure. Like, yeah, a lot to think about in that for sure. But, I'm sure that eventually, kids, they get used to anything that they get used to. So that's another part of that too.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
do you think that you will fight again?
Well, you know what? I always think I'm gonna fight again. I mean, I feel like too, if it hadn't have maybe been for a lot of just like physical problem things that I had to go through, I think in and around pregnancies, having three kids, had it not have been for that, I always felt like I would have. I'm even now. I'm like I still somehow feel like I'm gonna fight again. I think everyone, all fighters, definitely kind of can relate to that in one way or another. Even fighters who really had great careers, even after they've kind of conquered everything and everyone, years down the road, at some point, sometimes tend to say, oh, like sometimes tend to want to think that you could just get back in there. I still feel like I could. Would I? I don't know. It's been a long time. I mean, if you think I'm definitely getting old for a Thai fighter. I mean, do we break those stereotypes? Do we, what do we do? I mean, we know though that, it's definitely ideal to be young and in your prime. I mean, um, male or female, that's for sure. So it goes both ways with that. Definitely more with female, just because of the toll that it also takes on our bodies. Once, especially if you are a mom and you have had children, definitely a difference there, I think. But women are so strong, so resilient, and so many amazing moms who have like still fought or even started their path after becoming moms, like who weren't even involved in the sport pre baby, who have just like got into it after. I mean, like some really strong and amazing women for sure. I wouldn't like to really put a lot of restrictions like on female fighting. I think that there's a lot of strong women out there, and I myself included, I would like to think, why not? That's the thing with that. That's the part in Muay Thai that I also love, and um, with hard work, determination, perseverance, patience, sacrifice. Like we are very resilient. We there's a lot we can do, a lot we can do. Yeah, I think I would like to. I feel like I do have unfinished business. I definitely feel like I wasn't ready to stop. I feel like you know, I do. I have those thoughts where I feel like I wasn't quite done. I don't know about you, but like you had mentioned that you definitely didn't quite feel ready to stop. So that's a hard thing to deal with. I'm sitting here, 10 years down the road, and those feelings are definitely, right up there in the forefront of my feelings. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think maybe, especially for female fighters, we put a lot of extra limitations that don't really exist uh, for male fighters, for sure. Like having kids, okay, they don't care. You can still fight. Clearly, it's not exactly the same, but we definitely don't have to
Yeah,
adhere
you
to
don't
those
have to.
stereotypes
Yeah, you
before.
don't have to.
You're right.
It's never too late. It's never too late to have a goal. It's never too late to have a dream or a goal, and it's not just about, having a goal, just making it happen. And it happens one step at a time, and who doesn't know that more than, a Muay Thai fighter, I think. Regardless of the situation, it's a grind. Life is a grind, and that's the metaphor too, just in life in general, that I love and I've always loved, that I find through the sport, is just finding a way to win. there's always a way to to persevere, to move forward, find an opening, find a way to win, find there's even anything can stop you dead in your track. Something really, really, really bad, like a punch in the face, like nothing worse than that. Nothing worse. And you can accept certain things, and there's still another way to move forward and move on and find and be successful in anything. And you can apply that to anything in life, I think. um, a small goal, it could be something really small. You got to start somewhere to get where you want to be. And I think that the Muay Thai really can show people how to do that, not just like in the gym, because you take what you learn there and you apply it to other aspects of your life, right? And that's what I just have always loved, and what I continue to love. And I just feel really thankful that I'm able to continue to experience life through Muay Thai and share that here, our experiences. Um, at our family gym. My husband actually isn't Thai; he's actually Cambodian, of Cambodian descent. And they call it Kung Khmer, actually, as a sport. They practice in Cambodia, basically the same thing as Muay Thai. And yeah, we practice at our gym, culture, languages, you know, and that's I love that too about the sport. It's very open, at least like and especially like in Thailand, people they're just so wonderful, so open, so loving. um, it was just the best experience of my life. If I could go back now, I mean, just go back right now, I would. I absolutely adored it there, my time there, every part of it. And I just it was the best time of my whole life. Yeah, it was the best thing I think I ever did for myself when I started getting involved in the sport. As soon as like I said, as soon as I saw, I thought, wow, this is really great. And then as soon as I started training, I was absolutely, I needed it. I thought it was great. I trained and trained and trained. And shortly thereafter, I decided that I would, pack my bags and move to Thailand, and spent the next few years there. And like I said, I wasn't ready to leave then. I could go back anytime now. It's just the most amazing country. And just, especially if you're involved in Muay Thai in Thailand, it is absolutely just the best place to be in terms of the sport. Just how it's enmeshed in the culture there, the everyday life. I just loved it. And in having my own gym here now, I try to do a little bit of that in my everyday life, and I love that.
It's super, yeah, it's very special. And
Very special.
so I think we are wrapping things up. Can you tell us how people can reach out to you or find your gym?
Yeah, people can reach out to us, find our gym. Our gym is called the Temple Bordeaux. It's in located in the south of France, in Bordeaux. We are on Facebook, the Temple Bordeaux, Instagram. My husband, Albert Virache, you can always reach out to him. He's very active in the sport. He's 3-time European champion and 3-time world champion in Muay Thai. He's a coach now. We have a family gym. Like I said, our kids are there. We're all involved. We're just at the gym. Anybody can reach out, and it'd be great to hear from anybody. Yeah, I mean, I would just like to also a shout out to everybody in Thailand, Kai Prince and Shai, everybody there. It just reminiscing has been really nice. I absolutely love that experience. And also in Canada, where I'm from, Kai Sing Tong, my gym there, and my coaches there. Everything that they all taught me has been just absolutely life changing. And if I could ever take little bits of that and be able to share it with anyone else, it's just the best thing. I'm beyond thankful just to be able to share all of my experiences with my kids and in our community here now. Um, yeah, it continues to be just such an amazing ride, and it's been really nice talking to you too. I really do wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, moving forward and with your gym, and with your kids and your family.
Yes, thank you. It's nice talking to you today. And yeah,
It's been so good talking to you too. Yeah, you take care.
hey, thanks.
Bye for now.
Bye. You've been listening to On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I'm Danielle Marie, Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people.
This show was edited by Effie Ceruti. You can find me on Instagram at Effie_FC or on Facebook at Effie Ceruti.